How many times have you staggered down the freezer aisle after a brutal shift, grabbed a box of frozen fish sticks, and thought, hey, at least I'm giving my kids some solid quick protein. You pop them in the oven, they get that nice golden crunch, and everyone's happy, right? Except, what if I told you that what you're actually feeding your family isn't a wholesome slice of the ocean, but an engineered, industrially glued together paste that's mostly cheap starch, inflammatory seed oils, and fish scraps? What if that nightly shortcut is quietly wrecking your kids' energy levels and draining your wallet for what is essentially fried cardboard? Today, we are stripping back the slick branding of America's favorite freezer staples. By the time we're done, you'll find out how major corporations legally manipulate food labels to sell you mush while calling it premium fillet. I'll show you exactly how the industry uses chemical colorings to make gray, discarded seafood look like gourmet Atlantic cod. We will break down the precise laboratory data, consumer lawsuits, and investigative journalism that blow the lid off these brands. And stick around until the very end, because the single most trusted, wholesome-looking organic household name on the market turns out to be the absolute worst offender of them all. Before we name the specific culprits sitting in your local Walmart or Target right now, we need to talk about how a proper fish stick is actually supposed to be built, and how the food industry completely broke the blueprint. Decades ago, a fish stick was a simple thing. You took a clean, solid block of freshly caught white fish, sliced it into strips, dipped it in a light batter, and froze it. It was easily 80% pure fish. Today, you're lucky if the box in your freezer crosses the 50% mark. The rest is a carefully engineered cocktail of fillers. Think of it like buying a brand new pickup truck. But when you open the hood, half the engine block has been replaced with plastic zip ties and recycled soda cans. It might turn on, it might roll down the street, but it's a scam. In the food world, corporations achieve this through a process called mechanical separation. They take the leftover carcass of the fish after the real fillets have been cut away for expensive restaurants, scrape the bones clean with high-pressure machines, and churn it into a gray, liquid seafood paste. To make this slurry hold a shape, they pump it full of sodium phosphates, modified cornstarch, and binding agents, but nobody wants to eat a gray, rubbery sponge. So, the marketing geniuses bring in the heavy artillery, heavy breading and artificial cosmetics. They drench the paste in a thick armor of wheat flour, corn flour, and cheap, industrially refined vegetable oils like canola or soybean oil. Then, because the interior looks unappetizingly dull, they add natural-sounding colorings like paprika extract and turmeric. It's not there for flavor, it's an optical illusion designed to trick your brain into seeing golden fried perfection instead of mechanically reclaimed industrial byproduct. When you bake these at home, you aren't actually cooking fish. You're just reheating a factory-fried shell. Real fish has distinct muscle fibers that flake apart elegantly along natural fat lines when you press it with a fork. It's supposed to be tender, juicy, and structurally distinct. These modern imposters, however, behave more like a chicken nugget or a hot dog. You bite into them, and it's one uniform, springy, spongy mass. The industry has spent millions conditioning us to accept this texture as normal, hiding the massive cost-cutting shift behind bright mascots and wholesome claims. They are counting on the fact that you're too tired to read the back of the box. Welcome to the belly of the beast. We are diving straight into the freezer cases of America's biggest supermarkets to expose the brands that have turned a classic quick dinner into an absolute nutritional train wreck. If you've got any of these sitting in your kitchen right now, you might want to grab a trash bag, because it gets incredibly harsh from here. If you're already feeling the urge to run and check your own freezer shelf, hit that subscribe button right now, because we are pulling zero punches. Let's start with a classic household staple, Gorton's Crunchy Battered Fish Sticks. Gorton's of Gloucester is practically the founding father of American frozen seafood, owned by the massive Japanese conglomerate Nippon Suisan Kaisha. With their iconic yellow slicker fishermen on the box, they've commanded trust in American homes since the 1950s. But in recent years, independent food journalists and consumer groups have called them out for a massive quality slide. If you check the label, you'll see they are utilizing minced fish rather than solid fillets for their standard lines. According to independent food industry reviews, this translates to a spongy, rubbery texture where you can barely taste the seafood over the heavy, oil-logged batter. At around $6 to $7 a bag, you are essentially paying premium seafood prices for cheap cornstarch and industrial frying oil. The verdict zinger here is simple. Gorton's is selling you a yellow raincoat of nostalgia wrapped around a soggy sponge of disappointment. Moving up the ladder of deception, So let's talk about Great Value breaded fish sticks, the Walmart house brand. Sold in massive bulk boxes for dirt cheap prices, it's the ultimate go-to for families trying to stretch a tight budget. But this is where the corporate scam hits the hardest. In early 2026, consumer advocacy testing logs noted that budget minced fish products like Great Value routinely hit the absolute bare legal minimum for actual fish content, often hovering around just 50 to 52% fish, with the rest being pure filler. Real consumers on Reddit's Our Food product reviews consistently complain that these sticks turn into a slimy gray mush on the inside while the outside stays hard as a rock. Nutritionist Dr. Eris Latham has frequently pointed out that feeding kids these ultra-processed, mechanically separated meat pastes coated in oxidized soybean oil completely robs them of real nutrition. You think you're saving money, but when half the product is literal industrial waste and cheap flour, you're getting robbed blind at the register. Walmart's budget option is nothing but a poverty trap masquerading as a value meal. Next up is Kroger Seafood Select breaded fish sticks. Kroger is the largest supermarket chain in the country, and millions of families trust their store brands for daily dinner. However, their budget seafood lines are a masterclass in corporate cost-cutting. Journalistic investigations into supermarket private labels have revealed that these minced pollock sticks are heavily treated with sodium tripolyphosphate to force the processed fish scraps to retain water weight. When you cook them, that chemical water evaporates, leaving behind a shriveled, rubbery strip that tastes vaguely soapy and chemical. A characteristic consumer review on Kroger's own website states, "These literally fell apart into a mushy gray paste on my baking sheet and tasted like fried cardboard." It's an absolute scam because they charge you for chemical water weight while delivering zero intact muscle fiber. Kroger is essentially charging you seafood prices for tap water and processed starch. But let's talk about a brand that tries to play the healthy, natural card, Vandekamp's Crispy Battered Fish Sticks, owned by Conagra Brands. They market themselves with a clean, seafaring image, but a deep dive into their ingredients reveals a major hidden hazard, maltodextrin. As noted in metabolic health studies from the Cleveland Clinic, maltodextrin is a highly processed carbohydrate with a glycemic index that can spike blood sugar twice as fast as standard table sugar. When your kids eat these, their energy levels don't steady out from protein. They rocket into a massive blood sugar spike, followed by a vicious behavioral crash, irritability, and instant hunger. Parents buy these thinking it's a healthy protein option, but it's practically a dessert disguised as a dinner. Vandekamps is running a corporate health halo scam that exchanges your child's stable focus for cheap, high-glycemic factory starches. Now we get to the absolute height of corporate hypocrisy, and this one should make your blood boil. 365 by Whole Foods Market breaded fish sticks. Whole Foods built an entire empire on the promise of clean eating, high standards, and premium ingredients. They tell you that shopping there means you can trust that the food is pure. So why are there standard fish sticks made with minced fish paste fried in canola oil? An investigative piece by the Clean Label Project previously flagged that mass-produced private label organic items often cut corners on physical structure to maintain profit margins. When you cut open a Whole Foods 365 fish stick, you don't see beautiful white flaky wild Atlantic cod. You see a uniform compact grayish paste. A furious verified buyer on a consumer watchdog site wrote, "Paid double the price of a regular supermarket brand thinking it was healthy, but it's just overpriced, tasteless gray sludge." Whole Foods is weaponizing middle-class health guilt, charging you a massive premium for the exact same mechanical scrap paste you can buy at a discount store. It is pure marketing theater designed to empty your wallet while feeding your family factory-grade leftovers. And now, what it was worth watching all the way through for. We have waded through a sea of processed gray sludge, corporate legal loopholes, and blood sugar spiking chemical coatings. But the good news is that real food is still out there. You do not have to settle for factory-pressed scrap paste. There are honest brands available on American supermarket shelves right now that refuse to play these cost-cutting games. When you spend your hard-earned money on these options, it acts as a direct reward for the manufacturers who still respect their customers and care about what goes into a child's body. Let's start with the most affordable. Mainstream victory on the list, Trident Seafood's The Ultimate Fish Stick. You can find these massive bulk bags at Costco and local grocery chains across the country. Trident is a heavy hitter in the Pacific Northwest seafood industry, and their whole philosophy revolves around vertical integration, meaning they own the boats, they catch the fish in the icy waters of Alaska, and they flash freeze it directly. What makes this brand earn its place is a beautifully transparent label, 100% whole, wild-caught Alaskan pollock fillets. There is zero minced slurry in this bag. When you bake these, the sensory experience is a complete 180 from the budget garbage. You cut it open and you see brilliant white intact muscle fibers that flake apart cleanly with a fork. The coating is a light, seasoned panko breadcrumb that gives a sharp, clean crunch without being bogged down by excess oil or synthetic dyes. In terms of price, buying the large club packs at Costco brings the cost down to roughly 30 to 40 cents per serving, making it cheaper per ounce than several of the ultra-processed bad brands we exposed earlier. The only real downside is that because they are whole fillets, the sticks can vary slightly in size, which might trip up a strict air fryer schedule, but that's the reality of eating actual food from nature instead of a uniform factory mold. Next up, hitting that perfect sweet spot for accessibility and premium texture is Trader Joe's breaded fish sticks. Trader Joe's avoids the typical corporate trap by ensuring their standard stick uses thick, whole pieces of wild-caught fish, giving it a meaty, substantial mouthfeel. Independent consumer reviews on platforms like Cheapism rank these incredibly high specifically because of the interior quality. The fish stays remarkably soft, juicy, and buttery underneath the crisp. The ingredient list is cleanly stripped of artificial preservatives, heavy chemical stabilizers, and the typical industrial coloring agents like yellow dye number 5 or synthetic paprika extracts. The price sits beautifully at around $6 for a 1-pound box, which translates to a highly competitive cost per serving that easily beats out name-brand processed alternatives. If we're being completely honest about the downside, the seasoning in the batter is quite mild, meaning if you eat them completely plain, they might taste a bit undersalted to a palate used to processed foods, but that is easily solved with a quick squeeze of fresh lemon or a dollop of homemade tartar sauce. It's a clean, honest, whole muscle canvas. If you have a child with a severe wheat sensitivity or a household committed to clean, allergen-friendly eating, the absolute gold standard is Ian's Natural Foods gluten-free fish sticks. Readily available at Target and regional grocery lines like Publix and Kroger, Ian's built their entire reputation on taking classic kid-friendly foods and stripping out the industrial junk. Instead of a standard wheat flour crust fried in inflammatory soybean oil, they use an innovative cornmeal crust. The sensory payoff is incredible. The cornmeal gives it a distinct, rustic, hush-puppy-like crunch that holds up beautifully in the oven without absorbing grease. Inside, it's 100% whole wild-caught pollock fillets certified by the Marine Stewardship Council, ensuring rigorous independent tracking from the ocean to your plate. Specialist quotes from pediatric nutritionists frequently praise Ian's because they completely eliminate common inflammatory triggers while delivering authentic, nutrient-dense fish protein. It is more expensive up front, usually running around $7 to $8 for a smaller box, but for a family dealing with celiac disease or looking to avoid hyper-processed starches, the price premium is entirely justified by the complete lack of cross-contamination and the clean whole food profile. Finally, for the absolute pinnacle of premium quality, we have Pacific Seafood Starfish Cornmeal-Crusted Fish Sticks. This is the option for when you want zero compromises. Pacific Seafood is a legendary name in Western sustainable fishing, and their starfish line is treated like actual restaurant-grade seafood. These sticks are absolute units. They are physically massive because they are cut from thick, premium slabs of intact whole fish. When America's Test Kitchen or mainstream tasting panels review this category, these consistently battle for the #1 slot tag because the flakiness and moisture level of the fish mimics what you would get at a high-end seafood restaurant. They use a seasoned cornmeal and sea salt crust that delivers an immediate, deeply satisfying crunch while keeping the product naturally gluten-free. It is undeniably a premium product with a premium price tag, often found in natural food stores or high-end grocery aisles at around $9 a pack. It's not the budget pick for a chaotic Tuesday night, but if you want to show your family what a fish stick was actually meant to taste like before modern corporations ruined the recipe, this is the gold standard that proves quality still exists. Now that you know exactly which brands to avoid and which ones are actually putting real flaky fish back on your dinner table, let's make sure you never get tricked in the frozen food aisle again. Corporations spend millions trying to outsmart you with clever text placement, so you need to memorize a few absolute shield laws next time you walk into a Kroger, Target, or Safeway. This is the section of the video you are going to want to screenshot and save on your phone for your next grocery run. First, turn the box around immediately and scan the ingredients list for the words whole fillet or 100% fish fillet. If the ingredient list reads minced fish, formed fish flakes, or mechanically separated, drop it like a hot coal and walk away. Second, treat the front-of-box marketing like a corporate lie until proven otherwise. When a brand slaps a massive badge on the front that screams, "Made with 100% whole fillet," check the back. That is a legal loophole, meaning the minority percentage of fish they actually used came from a fillet, while the remaining 50% of the stick is still processed flour and water. Third, look exclusively for the Marine Stewardship Council Blue Fish logo, which acts as an independent guarantee that the seafood was tracked accurately from a clean wild ocean source straight to the store. Fourth, actively scan the oil profile on the label and reject any brand utilizing soybean oil, canola oil, or hydrogenated vegetable oils as their primary frying agent, choosing instead clean starches or minimal processing. Fifth, check for hidden high glycemic fillers like maltodextrin, corn syrup solids, or dextrose, which serve no purpose in frozen seafood other than to trigger an artificial flavor addiction and a massive blood sugar spike in your children. The ultimate takeaway here is incredibly clear. The modern food industry is entirely optimized to sell you the cheapest possible processed industrial byproducts at the absolute highest price point the market will tolerate. They have spent decades slowly degrading the recipes of our childhood favorites, hoping that by changing one ingredient at a time, we wouldn't notice the slide from real nutritious food into ultra-processed, oil-soaked sponges. You stop being a victim the exact moment you stop shopping with your eyes on the colorful cartoon mascots and start shopping with your eyes strictly on the macronutrients and the ingredient declarations on the back of the box. One single shift in your consumer awareness forces these massive conglomerates to either raise their standards or lose your business completely. Thank you so much for spending your valuable time digging into the truth with me today. If you want to protect your kitchen and help other parents stop unknowingly feeding their kids factory scraps and industrial seed oils, hit that like button and absolutely smash that share button right now. Send this to a friend who keeps a constant box of freezer seafood stocked for their toddlers, because they deserve to know what they are actually paying for. Let me know down in the comments right now, which of these exact brands is sitting inside your home freezer at this very moment. If you want to keep exposing the dark underbelly of the consumer products you use every single day, make sure to subscribe to the channel and check out our deep dive expose on the hidden garbage inside supermarket chicken nuggets linked right on the screen. Until next time, read those labels, question the marketing, and protect your plate.